Hey everyone, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. SalvationsElite. To my right is Bash_Bo3 Sam, and to our farthest right, per usual, is none other than the Rex ShadyNero. And boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about some Call of Duty. Shocker, I know. We're going through basically the biggest debate of the century. I mean, this is Halo v CoD, and we're basically gonna be doing a little bit of like a, what you could say, maybe a State of the Union of the Call of Duty scene, of the Call of Duty League, and breaking down where competitive CoD needs to go from here. And hopefully what we're hoping to see, at least with challengers and the CDL and with the format and so much more. So there's a lot to go over today. And obviously a lot of interesting news this week as well regarding some roster moves and some things like that. So a lot to talk about. Before we get into that, boys, I got to ask, what's going on?
Well, Josh, I'm feeling like a pig wrapped up in a blanket. And the farmer comes along and takes his pocket knife and he cuts it open, opens up my blanket pig hot dog bun, and I'm free to walk around and do as I please again.
Oh man.
Wow. He's free, baby. He is free. Oh, Sam, thanks for letting him go, man.
I thought the farmer was about to cut the pig.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
There's like a slaughter situation.
Yeah.
Keeps you hanging. That's the climax. I'm glad you said.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I was like, holy crap. But anyways, I'm doing good too, man.
Yeah.
It's, you know, another Monday. Mondays aren't so fun, but the Best of 3 podcast makes it a little better. So.
Oh, it makes it a little bit better. I mean, you know, Tuesday, obviously for the listeners out there, Tuesdays, you know.
Yeah, Tuesdays.
But Tuesdays are great for them. Mondays are great for us.
Yes.
But yeah, we got a lot to talk about today, obviously. You can listen on Spotify. You can listen on Apple Podcasts. You can watch on YouTube. Drop a comment on YouTube. And that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And today,
Tuesdays are good for the tuners. Tuesdays are good for those in tune.
In tune.
That's you, viewers. Thanks for stopping by.
I love how long you waited to like think about that and then let it fly.
I really wanted to find something.
Oh, for sure. And you know what? You found it. So that's good.
Wow, man. Beautiful.
So
but what do these reviews have to say?
5-star review. This is going to be a very special review.
Oh, really?
From Pork Rind. I think we know Pork Rind.
Well, that's ironic that he was just talking about pigs and knives.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one is titled #B4B.
I'm curious already. I'm pretty excited.
This is one of the most relatable shows for washed old guys who love competitive CoD. Let's go.
Speak
truly feels
for
like
yourself.
No, you are a washed old CoD guy.
Oh, I'm about to hit my prime, baby.
Truly feels like having a group of friends to bounce terrible takes off each other. All of our takes pretty bad.
Speak for yourself.
But there was one man, a fellow dad.
Oh my
left
word!
With no,
what is up with these reviews? Everyone just sucking up to Sam lately,
left
bro.
With no hero in the CDL. Bash. His charming voice cracks and S-tier drip will always have me bashful for bash. And that's where the #B4B comes from.
Wow.
And that is my favorite review of all time.
What is
bashful for bash?
Bashful for bash.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
I like it.
So I just wanted to shout out because I appreciate the voice crack love, because, you know, there was a period of time, and maybe there's that time is kind of still going on, where
Get this guy some water.
I thought about reinventing my voice. I'm like, do I need to go back to the drawing board and get a new voice?
How would you do that?
You gotta go to get surgery,
because there's certain reviews that just, like, you know, it's like, man, there's definitely some truth to those. It's like, do I got to go back and try to learn how to speak again? But I appreciate those who are here for the voice cracks, because there's gonna be a lot more coming. So
yeah,
cheers to you.
Cheers to that.
Amen. Wow. I mean, people got to stop being so nice. This is a problem. This is a problem.
Do they need to attack more?
Yeah, we need more of those, like those undercover attacks, like that one review.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Obviously, we have a lot to get into today, so I guess no quick questions today, and we can get right into this news of the week. So let's hit it.
The Call of Duty News of the Week.
All right, today, guys, for the news of the week,
Smooth.
we have a lot to cover, so let's try and get through it quick. Methods is officially gone from the Ultra. He's running in the challenger scene.
Crazy, man.
Free agent as far as we know. Bance, there was the rumor that he was not, or that he was going to be benched and they would be replacing him with Hixie. That is not the case. Bance not benched.
Yeah, that was funny. Like Marky B was basically like, all right, guys, we're clearing this up here. This is not like a situation.
Yep, and I believe we should be, wait, wasn't it Zuma leaked?
Yeah, Zuma leaked like a DM with ASIM, whether that was intentional or if it was like a troll or something. I don't know.
I mean, it had to be a troll.
Yeah.
Next up, actually, I think I put
we're
this
flying
one in.
today.
We are flying today.
I didn't.
It's really
Do you want
impressive.
to talk about this next one?
Oh, no,
The
yeah.
Crim
With Saints or Crim?
Crim.
Oh, Crim. I mean, why not, right? I guess it could have gone in the other one, but I just thought it was comedy. Anyway, basically Crim.
What is
just
it?
had-
I don't even know what it is.
It's chaos here in the news of the
chaos.
week. I think it probably should have been in one of the other sections, but basically, Crim had his whole like 50K tournament, and he was casting it like crazy. And I thought it was just interesting how he talked about how he got jumped. He jumped. Wow, now we're getting to just crazy territory. How he got dropped for Scump at OpTic, and the whole clip is comedy. Highly recommend. But basically, he was just trolling.
There's a lot of good clips from that.
All right, so if you
tournament.
guys are looking for some drama, head on over and check out some Crim 6 clips. No real news, apparently. Saints no longer playing with Mohawk, Proloot, or Spart.
Dang.
For now, you know how this goes.
For now, this is typical challengers drama, and I'm sure teams will be changed again next week and the week after that. Just how it goes in the scene.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because then like the next part here is that he then posted like talking about his considering switch to Warzone, which
And a lot of players are considering.
May have contributed from basically the thought of, or after that whole drama went down, probably getting a little sick of it. He's like, nah, chance, bro. I mean, how about just like Warzone or something? But I don't know. That's pretty big news. I mean, obviously, Saints has been so good for a while now. I mean, like, it's crazy, like, after last season, how he never got his shot in the league with how great he played inside challengers all year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like,
100%.
even just that whole squad. I mean, they.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, yeah, they were the winners of challengers finals. Like,
Yeah. You kind of wonder if, like, really, a team Paris should have picked up this squad. Truly.
well, I mean, that's
what we've been saying since like the beginning of the challenges, that whoever gets number one, those players, at least a few of them will be picked up. Though I don't think that's been the case yet. Though Fellow is now on Paris, but he won in Modern Warfare.
Yeah, well, the toughest thing is that because the CDL doesn't have, because of the situation this year with the expansion team, the 11th team or the 12th team, like, let's say you're this 12th team. I mean, you may as well wait to see who ends up winning Cup 1, Cup 2, Cup 3. And then, like, because if you have a Western situation like last year, you're snatching up that squad, and then suddenly now you've got a maybe competitive top 8-ish type team off the rip just because they were winning in challengers already. So, I mean, whoever this 12th team ends up being, like, they have no incentive at this point to pick their team anytime soon.
That is true, which is unfortunate. But
Oh, yeah, it sucks.
what can you do?
So
Nothing.
it's like, it puts it, so basically you just have to prioritize being the best team week one, or, first cup here, second cup, third cup here, the beginning of the season here in challengers, to give yourself the chance to be that team that's picked up.
Yeah, if that even happens. We haven't even seen that happen yet. We think that's the logical course of action, but just sometimes that's not how these things go for whatever reason.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they could just pick up the veteran squad like what we assume would probably happen, but I don't know.
And I think that's adding to maybe some of the animosity among the challenger scene with CoD right now, which we'll discuss later. But going off of that, Maux, who was first year in Modern Warfare, he was on the Mutineers and he got benched, but he has decided to move to Halo.
Yeah, this is kind of our little stretch of players considering switching and or already switching. But yeah, that sucks. That sucks. I really like Maux. I mean, obviously, kind of like one of the Gen G guys of BO4, and had a tough go with Florida in MW, and then last year all the way through. So
Yeah.
it's tough to lose a guy like that where he's been in the scene for such a long time now, and then like I feel
And
like he
it
still had a
feels
lot of
like he
potential.
was just about to get that break. He was on a pro squad, even though, and people were even like questioning benching him too.
Yeah.
Like he was just like right there.
Oh, I know.
Which is tough.
Yeah.
And like I think he did say too, like in a reply that he said he might come back.
Which makes sense.
It's not permanent, but I think that is the thing. People are right now are willing to take a chance on like a new title where, hey, there's still some like room for people to like grow like fast because it is a new mechanic.
He's also a main AR, and that probably comes to play as well, just because right now it's looking so grim for main ARs in the challenger scene with spots in the CDL right now. And that probably comes into play as well.
It is hard. It is. So yeah, I think it's a smart move for him just to like you try it out. But at the same time, if the challenger scene develops and like they start to see like more either prize pools or like maybe lands come back for challengers, he might just come back, honestly. Because
for sure, I think that's very possible.
Yeah. More people switching over to Halo. Mental.
Sam,
the Gears of War mental. He didn't have a good. Didn't do very well.
The LAG
Cold War.
mental.
Yeah.
And now he's teaming up actually with Explosive, who was a teammate of his on OpTic.
Yeah, they're like that like whole OpTic Gears of War squad is switching to Halo. Like Explosive, I think Solars,
Crazy man.
Mental,
Solars.
and then
Tonneson.
Yeah. So that's a good amount of that like Dynasty OpTic Gears squad is switching too. So I mean
that's crazy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll see how they do.
Considering Gears isn't in a good spot either. So Gears is not in the best spots.
More players. They're dropping like flies. GodRx sends a tweet. So, Warzone it is. ?
Yeah, we don't really know where he's at right now. It was more, this was from a few days ago as well. So, I mean, he'll probably keep playing challengers, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see some of these guys starting to hedge their bets a little bit more. Where like, maybe one night a week instead of scrimming or something or playing in eights, they're playing Warzone and like, maybe starting to hedge their bets a little bit with that type of stuff. I mean, like, seems possible.
Yeah, and they're just going to try and I don't even think they're trying to make money off of like a content factor. I think they're mainly just trying to run the tournaments and get the money
win
from
tournaments. That. Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah. And then another one, Linney, I believe he's an EU European challengers. But he's going to be making the switch over to Warzone.
Last year he teamed with like Brezzy and Maple and those types of guys throughout Cold War, and he was with I think Nolson and Joe. I'm scrolling through it now. Yeah, Nolson, Joe. He was on also with Defrag, Gizmo, Nolson throughout the year. So he was on the London Royal Ravens Academy team for I think a little bit there at some point, if I remember right. Maybe not. Maybe that was like previous year. Oh, that was in Modern Warfare. Yeah. So he's been around. He's been a legit contender for a while. I mean, he got top 6 at the CWL Amateur Finals back in BO4 with on that Sicario team with Tommy, Chino, Proto, and Exceed. So I mean, he's been like a legit AM for a while. And he finished top 12 at champs with that Sicario team. So it's like in BO4. So it's like he's been legit for a long time, and it's just crazy seeing guys like that who've been around for so long making the switch to another esport like that.
Yeah. I mean, all of them say that they might be back. And I think you're right. I think it's going to be a situation of they are still going to try and do the challengers thing, but it's going to become less of a priority than it has been the past 2 years for them.
Yeah. Or like they're just going to go all in on Halo for a month or two and then see what happens. And then like, you still have about 2 months until the CDL actually starts. So it's like, then you could maybe come back. And then if it's not going well for you in the first 2 months of Halo, then maybe you come back and try to grind out challengers again, or something like that. So I can see that happening too.
Yeah.
Word on the first Challengers Cup. It was scheduled for next weekend, but obviously we don't even know what the third game mode is. Tom Gravity tweeted out @Zeb, who's associated with
he runs challengers basically. He's the head of challengers basically for the CoD League.
Right. And he was requesting to
He's the
delay
GOAT,
the
by the way.
Challenger season until there's a proper third game mode, until Silent Plant Diffuse is patched, major game bugs affecting gameplay are patched. The .zeb guy replied, man who runs Challenger says, acknowledged and understood, work has been hard pause because they had a week off. He's bringing this and other feedback to the team Monday. He's not too thrilled either. It's wild how many things can pop out of my control at the last minute.
And he said, sorry, APAC. Yeah. So there's definitely some problems going on right now. And I mean, like, obviously, you know, Matt's doing his best at Zeb. He's doing his best to you know, keep things in check. I mean, I know there's been things where he's like wanted to do things and he just couldn't because of Activision's final decisions and stuff. But we'll see. I think things are still going to turn around for challengers in the long haul, but it's tough right now when we don't have a guaranteed LAN events yet at this point, and those types of things for challengers. And it's like, man, that gets tough. So hopefully we can get some more announcements here in the next week or two. And what do you guys think? Do you think they should push back the event or not?
At this point, no one has been able to even practice the third game mode.
But like, would you rather have them do the first event with no third game mode, or have a game mode, give them a week to practice and then have the event?
Yeah, see, I would almost, could be a hot take, but I would almost prefer just do hardpoint S&D. You know, do hardpoint S&D, 2 hardpoints, then S&D.
And then when the third game mode comes, just add it in.
Yeah, because like you said, you know, like, okay, like let's say they announce today, okay, controls coming in.
Controls in. Yeah.
Next week you're playing. It's like, well, is that fair?
That feels RNG as all get out, you know?
Yeah. So like, you know, almost like just like have the first cut be what everyone's been scrimming for the past month. And then do that, and then
oh gosh, it probably comes down to when you actually know the game mode's getting. If they have a date, like if behind the scenes they know when this game mode is getting added in, then that probably is a deciding factor. Like if it's getting added in like 2 days, then all right, then you'll have like 10 days or so till the next cup. So like till the first cup, then maybe that's when you make it happen, or you delay the cup for 2 weeks and you have about 2 weeks to practice, something like that. It probably just depends on the dates there.
Yeah, and like, you know, when I say that, I don't mean like, oh, that's an easy solution. No, it's not ideal at all. It sucks. But
it really sucks.
You know, like, you know, maybe it's better to do the cup one now with just hardpoint S&D, announce the third game mode this week, and then give teams like for the second cup, whenever that's supposed to be, delay that, and then give them 2 to 3 weeks of practice, you know, rather than just like a couple of days of practice on the third game mode.
Yeah, that's what it's just tough when you're adding in a third game mode that completely changes how the competitive meta currently is for the best teams in the game. It's just crazy. Yeah. Oh, not ideal, man. Not ideal. But hopefully we can get past these roadblocks and overcome adversity as a community, you know,
as a solid community.
Which we will be talking about here in the next in the second half of the episode.
Yep. And then Standy, and I'm going to apologize to Rocker now. I have a feeling you're the one who made him delete this tweet, but it was a good tweet nonetheless. Don't harp on him too hard. But he tweeted out, when can we get a 100K 11 CDL teams plus top 5 AM team tournament? Which is what a lot of us been talking about. Including amateur teams with it. Eli. Though I'm sure organizations aren't too thrilled with that idea, which is probably why it got deleted. And I don't blame them. But it'd be good spectating. I'll give him that.
It'd be great.
I mean, again, like with how fun some of these early tournaments have been, like even like an online, they have dedicated servers already up. Like even an online situation that wouldn't be ideal, but like, man, it'd be fun. It'd be such a fun tournament.
Yeah.
Like, why can't we have nice things? You know?
Well, then let's
just make it happen.
Then too, it's like, you know, you are putting eyes on people on the challengers, and maybe that would bring back people that have been incentivized to go to Halo, like such as, you know, Sans Pro Loot, Mohawk, that team. You know, if they were the ones who were getting into this tournament, that would. I feel like
they get a chance to play pros. Like they get a chance to play OpTic. They get a chance
to
play LAG for money. Like they can even like, you know, they really can try to assert like a certain dominance over like whoever the weakest team may be.
That would just having this tournament. If you like, let's just say the CDL announced, hey, no 2K this tournament. but we're kicking off the competitive season, December 18th with the 100K online tournament with 5 amateur teams. Like if that happened, everyone would forgive everything. They'd be like, we're in. Like that would be the absolute band-aid to the last like 4 weeks.
It'd be great.
But
I just don't think that. I don't.
Seems unlikely.
Yeah,
you never know.
Yeah, again, franchise leagues is just
because
that's what we got.
The
now.
teams that get embarrassed by amateur teams, like the teams that have put in $25 million and are losing to people who have getting no money at all.
Make a better team.
Make a better team.
Yeah. So in Crim 6's Boom TV tournament, he replaced Demyansk with the map Oasis.
Yeah, this is interesting. So this probably plays towards the future of the meta, with a lot of the pros liking that a lot. I mean, we saw a lot of hate tweets towards Demyansk and Desert Siege even before the tournament. And overall, it seemed like most of the community really liked having Oasis in. So I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on Oasis versus like Desert Siege or Demyansk? Obviously, we had the whole London Docks convo last week, but Oasis actually seemed like it played decent.
Yeah, no, I don't mind Oasis just with like, for sure, like being able to wrap between the 2 bomb sites.
That bomb site get mixy as all get out though, man.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I guess Desert Siege is the lines of sight on Desert Siege are pretty crazy with like the both right and the left side. The middle house is just kind of ridiculous, but I guess when it comes down to it, like if we had to choose between Desert Siege and Oasis, I'd probably choose Oasis too. With like a little bit of a smaller map and then also just like the different play styles. But
yeah,
I mean, I guess me personally, I don't have like that strong of an opinion on it.
That's fair.
I don't mind
again,
Desert
like
Siege.
I think the meta on Desert Siege could still get a little bit better. Like I still like the potential of Desert Siege as a map a lot, but man, I do after watching more of it this week, like watching a lot more of it this weekend in that tournament, especially casted, where you can kind of see how the players actually move around the map a little bit more. I could see why pros don't like it just because of the mixiness of that middle building is just it can get frustrating with how the doors work in that middle building. But I'd be okay with Oasis. I just think Demyansk in 4v4 is just toxic. I think Oasis replacing Demyansk is the right call.
Gotcha.
I think I fall along the same thing. I just want to pull up a picture of Demyansk because, like,
it's just the middle of Demyansk, that just open icy area.
Yeah.
It's just
pretty
like,
crazy there.
The stuns on that part of the map are just, it's killer. It's just killer. You stun rush that on defense, and then it's like on offense, you can get so stuck. And then they're shooting down on you from like top of the cabin. I just feel like offense has such a disadvantage on that map because of how stuns work.
Yeah.
If trophies were in this game, I feel like you could play it differently and it might be interesting.
Well, then that, or like even like a GA on like the like
like a stun
like
GA or something.
Stuns or
I think they could change the
nades.
meta a lot.
Yeah,
but like with how it is right now, with the meta we're rocking, it's so frustrating playing that in GBs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's tough.
And then we have. So here's was a post on Reddit.
Okay.
And
all right,
I guess I want to get your guys' opinion on this. So a Reddit user posted about the 12th league spot. Instead of like, I guess like if they can't find someone to sell it to or whatever, but replacing that spot with an amateur team.
A qualifying amateur
team from the open bracket.
That's like owned, quote unquote, by the CDL, I guess would be like the idea. Or like,
yes.
And so I'd assume this would also change every major then too.
Well, it would
or do you think
probably mean that the team that wins the 2K before the tournament
for each major is what it says in here. The 12th spot would act as an open bracket of challenger teams for each major. All challenger teams would go through an open bracket for each time and would battle for a spot to compete at the major.
Yeah, basically some sort of 2K would be like how you'd get into the major or something like that. I don't know. Unless it was like a LAN situation, but that seems pretty unlikely. But I don't know. I mean, like if our options are figure out a way to have a league with 11 teams or doing this, that is infinitely better.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
I think it's a good idea. I think it would be a step in the right direction. But again, it comes down to like, are organizations going to be okay with that? Like you can pay $25 million for a guaranteed spot, or you can take, a 1 out of 12 chance to go into the league for free.
I would say I wonder if the players would even be allowed to get the money. I wonder what the legality of that is. It's like there's a lot of legal hoops to jump through, I'm sure, with that type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm sure right now the league's going through all their options. Like, what if we don't get a buyer? What are the buyers are available? Like, what happens if there's no buyer? Then can we do this? Can we do that? Like, they're probably looking at every single option, I'd imagine. Hopefully we get a buyer and then we have a team and it's all good. But man.
Personally, I think I would like to watch, rather than having a buyer, I probably would prefer to have like an amateur team going in there.
I agree.
And taking it every time.
I agree with that. If our option was have a 12th team or have this system where a 12th team is a qualifier from the amateur from the AM scene, I'm all in on that.
Yeah.
Like having a 12th team that we can finally see like, all right, this is the winner who just beat every other team in this 2K. Let's see how they match up now against the pros on LAN. Like that would be sick. And like a situation like this where like they get just thrown into the fire and they're the only AMP team, and like the grand finals for the 2Ks would be sick. Like one team loses, they get nothing. The other team gets to play in the pro league. You know, like that would be awesome.
No, yeah, for sure. But yeah, like you almost wonder if like with like the legality of it, you could have some sort of org own the spot so that the org gets paid the money, then the org can distribute it.
So I guess in this situation, it would be Envy because they currently own that spot.
And then they just keep funneling through the top AM team. Then for that major, they can pay out whatever earnings they potentially win to the players. And then they're just basically switching rosters every single major.
Wait, how are they making money off them though?
I guess I'm just saying like, if you're
I
worried about how the legal aspects of it is going to work, all the money would go towards the one org who owns a spot, but the org is constantly funneling out the rosters of,
like
I mean,
and then you kind of have to go off the trust of the org to like put these players, whoever actually won it, on a pay them or something.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of ways to circumvent.
I feel like the most likely situation is that you sell that, like the transaction would be that you sell the spot to the CDL. And then the CDL says, hey, how we're doing this is that this is the qualifier for the prize for qualifying through the 2K is this spot.
And honestly, I kind of like the idea of the CDL being the first people to like technically like buy a challengers team. Right? And it kind of involves them more.
Well, it gives them incentive to actually
be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it gives them more incentive, and like I could only see
the prize for winning this massive open bracket is a contract for a stage. And then you have 5 different teams who win these open brackets, and then you have 5 different qualified teams. I mean, it'd be pretty cool.
And it would show their dedication to the fans and like the players in the challenger scene. I think it would work out well. But since they're such a big corporation, they might have worries of like,
it seems unlikely.
Some, crazy goofball who makes it into this challenge and does something crazy, and they make they're like racist, right? And then Activision's like, oh no, not again,
not again.
Yeah, that's the thing. They prefer sending the responsibility off to like organizations, because like then it's their fault. Classic corporations trying to shift blame.
Classic.
Right.
But man. So I think brainstorming those types of ways to deal with the 12 league spots really interesting.
Yeah, and I do think we need to try and start, and we'll talk about it later. Anyways, Vanguard news. Let's talk about auto tactical sprint. I've been recently playing the game. Doug Censor Martin has some strong opinions on the issue.
He's taking on the whole
specifically related to just like the future health is like kind of the main argument I think he pushes. Just like, you're developing carpal tunnel by using by not allowing people to use auto tactical sprint. Major Maniac responded to one of those tweets saying it's actually the most crutch setting we've had in COD. hit some hand stretches, I say. Then Doug Sensor Martin clapped back. He said, it's also a crutch: paddles, buttons, grips, dynamic aiming preferences, smart triggers, smart bumpers. And then he goes on and kind of is a little bit facetious here. Let's just play with bare bones controllers and duke it out then.
Oh yeah. Oh my word. Keep going. I'll rant here in a second.
So what do we think? Because I've played with auto tactical sprint, and for the most part, I know like the consensus is like the better thing to do is to like turn it on. I don't like playing with it. I do not like playing with it.
Really?
Like it feels like I'm too out of control. I like being able to like slow myself down more. That might just be a me thing, but I know when I have auto tactical sprint on, I get caught sprinting too much and I can't, somebody else has their gun up before me.
That's fair.
That's how I feel, at least, about it. And so I don't understand how it's that much better. I don't know how to use it. I guess the ways pros
The debate would be like for SMGs, like the debate would be that pros, no matter what, are going to get to a point where they're pros. Like they're so good that they're going to break the cameras either way. Mm-hmm. It feels like to me, at least it comes off to me like pros are just like trying to keep the skill gap high, not for the sake of the league balance, but more for the sake of like not letting AMs catch up. And that would also play to why like Doug feels like he loves it because it is balanced because it probably helps him. I mean, I feel like it helps me, and like I think it makes me a better player. So I can see the argument. I'm biased because I think it makes me better, but like at the same time, I can see what they're saying. Like, I mean, he was going after everybody. He was going rogue, and like, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on ATS as a whole then? Because I can see the point, but I don't know.
For me, here we go. I think it definitely allows you to hit the best movement sooner than if you weren't using
have
ATS. Yes. Yeah. So like as soon as you turn it on, you're already hitting like the fastest possible attack sprint possible. You're hitting the best slide cancels possible. So really what it does is it just allows you to do that.
It just lowers the floor just a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. Now I fully believe, someone even like me, I could probably figure that out without auto attack sprint. It might just take me however much longer, right? But for the pros' sake, it's like, what's the point? Since they're already the best in the game, why are they gatekeeping?
Why would they let anybody else catch up?
Yeah, I guess it just seems weird to me.
That's what I'm saying. I'm right with you. I can see why pros GA it, but like, I just think overall there's no reason for the average person to GA it. So then that's where it gets interesting with challengers, because it's like, do you allow it in challengers? But then it's like if someone goes from challengers to pro, then it's like if they get picked up, they're like, well, now I have to play without tax sprints. So it's like then there's no point in playing with tax sprints. And those guys want to GA it too. So I don't know. From the top down, I would prefer it if it wasn't GA'd, but like I can see why they GA it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you truly are saving thumbsticks. Like when it comes down to it, like challengers, the people that are probably going to be playing and like don't have the most money because they're not sponsored by
anyone like that top 64 range, right?
You're for sure going to go through controllers like crazy, and it is a cost. Like whether you want to admit it or not, all the pros don't have to worry about that because they're going to get free controllers. The challengers players,
and they're doing a lot better financially.
Maybe some of the top ones are going to get free controllers, but the majority of them are not getting free controllers. So you can call it the cost of competing, buying controllers, but to me, I just feel like I just prefer it to not be GA. Just use it, But at the same time, I guess when you're trying to pick and choose every minute detail that could create a skill gap, I guess I get it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm right with you there. I think from a pro perspective, like I said, I understand why they're GAing it, and none of them really need it, and so that's like, why would you play with it? Like, there's just no point. Therefore, why are we helping any of the amateur players out? They don't need any help. So,
I think Censor has a point though about like we have like what the battle beavers now. You got the grips, buttons, smart triggers, all these different things that give you a distinct advantage over somebody who may just have a standard controller. And like most challengers probably have these other like more high-tech controllers or whatever, but it's not totally like fair, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they talked about the digital sticks that like Battle Beaver was making that pros got access to before anyone else did.
Mhm.
So like they were using digital sticks, which like help with the input of L3 and R3 on controllers, and that's definitely an advantage. Technically, that no amateur player really had access to. So I can see the argument, like, I mean, like, you guys have advantages for this already. Amateurs don't, like, it's just weird overall. Like you said, though, the top players are always going to decide these types of things, and I just don't see it not being GA'd.
Mm-hmm. True.
But if it was up to me, I wouldn't GA it, but I'm biased, like I said. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
I don't think I'd want to GA it either.
Oh, we know you, Rex.
I'm anti-GA at all. So these conversations are always kind of weird.
Shotguns all day, baby. Let's go.
They would probably end up banning the shotguns. Let the CoD League decide what's banned. They'll figure it out. If it's bad, they'll fix it.
Classic.
There was a question on Reddit talking about why don't pros GA stuns and nades for hardpoint?
Yeah, we're kind of already talking about this.
2 per team. We kind of went over this, kind of how the nades are a little bit insane, how the stun grenade takes away 20 HP when it hits you.
It's crazy the amount of people I see die from stuns.
I think that was a weird addition to the game.
Oh, it's so weird. If you have someone weak, that stun is literally how you finish somebody off.
I mean, you could throw, like a stun and a nade in there, and you might get that kill, even if they're not direct impact kills.
Yes, you want to throw that nade first, that stun can finish him off.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
It's real tough. I don't know, man. I mean, if I was the pros, I would GA the amount of stuns and nades. I'm honestly shocked they haven't yet.
And the fact that there's no trophies, then
what I'm saying.
Then they buff the stun grenade. It's like, whoa. Like, kind of crazy.
Realism,
I would GA the amount of stuns. I would say each team only gets 2.
Yeah.
Have we had any word about the smokes or smokes? Smokes are allowed, right?
Yeah, they're allowed in S&D.
Right. Okay. At least they're allowed in S&D. I would like them to be allowed in respawns as well, but that's just me.
I do want to save this stuff because this is basically what we're going to talk about like at the end, so we can kind of save that stuff. Let's just head on to the next part.
Are we talking about what's the next part of the news?
Skip the Haggy stuff because we're going to talk about that later.
That's good stuff right there. Anything good here? This is all drama stuff. I mean, we could talk about this. My boys at NYSL/Insight. So Neptune Hydra and Insight won 18 straight rounds versus Illy, Shotzi, and Dashy in a 3v3 best of 5 chow.
Which is not what you'd expect.
No.
I mean, that's pretty demolishing. Like, pretty good. Weird that they're playing with Insight, but also not weird because Hydra is European.
Yeah, and Insight's an S&D grinder. I mean, it makes sense. But definitely impressive. I mean, 18 straight rounds against anyone, even bad players, is impressive. Let alone against Illy, Shotzi, and Dashy. Mm-hmm. That's insane.
Yeah,
but it is insane.
Yeah, that's
which gives me a lot of hope for NYSL. That's nice. That's nice to see.
Let's be honest, they're not playing with Clayster or Crim on that tournament. So.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying roasted.
That Clay's not Insight?
Yes.
Wow, Sam, that get canceled.
Sorry, hot take.
Unbelievable. You're trying to say Insight's better
Clay is
than
not
Clay?
Insight. Hot take.
Oh my word. Unreal, man. Crazy. What else we got
I guess we can do a little bit of drama news here. Arcitys says, talking about Halo, people switched to Halo and had no teamwork in COD, thinking it's going to be better in Halo. LMAO. Zero says, people thinking Halo is all gun skill. That's why some unreal teamwork going on over there in Halo. So, there's a lot of challengers switch to Halo. Arcitys like, if you weren't making it here in COD, it's not because you can't shoot straight. it's maybe like more of a teamwork thing.
What's the best one of the what's the best any of the COD guys? Do you know off the top of your head, like the best that any of these COD guys have done in Halo? Honestly, I couldn't tell you.
I mean, I know Clay and Karma got top 16 in the first open.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Which
Formal
is-
recently got top 8. I think they lost to OpTic.
Yeah, well,
Did they?
Formal feels like a cheat that because he's playing with Halo guys.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
So I guess
But
that
he's-
makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think
I
like
guess.
any of the
he's formal.
recent COD guys that are either still playing COD or recently retired did any
Have done anything crazy?
Yeah, but
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think Formal's the only one who's actually made any move like waves.
Yeah,
Though Chauncey looks pretty good at the game, but based on a little bit I saw
Oh.
him playing of it.
Shocker, right?
He's just
what you're
gross
trying to
at
tell me.
Halo, though.
Shotzi's good at Halo.
I
one
mean,
of the-
just seeing his movement every game, dude.
one of the
He
best
is
Halo
a
5
magician.
players. Yep.
He's a magician. And I know we say it all the time, but he really is. It feels like he picks up a game and all of a sudden he just like is like a figure skater. And no matter what he plays, I don't know how he does it. You cannot replicate it. It's just him. It's so
yeah, I
good.
mean, his brain works different. 100%.
Yeah.
Like I just
it's
want to
insane.
know how what it is that like is happening with him that like he's just able to move like he does.
He probably doesn't even know how to articulate it because he's never been like not. I mean, it's probably been so long since he was
Yeah.
bad at a game. Like
Yeah,
he doesn't even know how to articulate it. Like
To him is
like,
probably just normal. Like
I wonder if there's a moment where he just got really obsessed with being good at moving in a game. So like he was just like going into privates, just running around, just getting really good at moving, or like if it just was something that just happened.
yeah. Like was an active decision to get good, or
Yeah.
did it just kind of happen?
Yeah, was it more of like an active decision? Like, does he know when he was getting better at it, or was it kind of just like just kind of hit me that I was just good at this movement now? I don't
That's
know.
interesting. I don't know. I'm honest. Yeah, who knows?
That's a question I'd like to ask him
For sure.
because he's different. Like he's different.
Yeah. Well, one
So-
thing I wanted to share was Dashy talking about OpTic struggles because I thought that was really interesting because he
Oh,
mentioned
man.
on stream.
What did Dashy
Basically-
say?
I mean, it's what we expect he would say because we've heard it now from Scump and from Formal, but like
which is annoying.
he basically just said we didn't play enough. Like we didn't play enough Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
You know how many times I hear we didn't play enough as excuses, and not only from OpTic, not only is Dashy. I'm not even picking on them. It's just anytime someone loses in an esport, it feels like their only excuse is we didn't play enough.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough. I mean, now that we've heard it from all of them in different times, though, it is kind of like weird how it's kind of coordinated
Mhm.
like that. And like he did talk about how like he's really excited to have Shotzi and Illy, which was one thing that we talked about quite a bit was like, all right, Shotzi and Illy don't get off the game.
Mhm.
And that's probably going to help Scump and Dashy a lot.
Yeah.
Just because it like those two guys are like, yo, let's play duos, let's play trios, let's play this chow, let's do this, let's play eights.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
And it feels like Dashy's more of like the sure, why not type guy. You know, like the,
Mhm.
oh, everyone, okay, yeah, I'm down. Like, sure.
Yeah. He's not
You
going
know?
to ring lead like
No.
like getting on and doing
At least
stuff.
not that often. At
But
least.
how many
Yeah,
late
so-
night streams I've seen of Illy, Shotzi, and him
Oh my word!
all together, just either chows or just even in private lobbies, just running around trying to find new
I
stuff.
think it's going to be so big for helping them season long, with just having Shotzi and Illy there, just willing to grind 24/7. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
that makes a lot of sense. And basically, he said that after CWL Vegas in BO4, like he said, some of these problems kind of stemmed back to even BO4, where he said after they won CWL Vegas, they didn't scrim for 21 straight days. And he said people blamed it on his visa, but that wasn't it. It was just that they didn't get on.
Mhm.
Which is insane. 21
like,
days.
what?
Like how do
You
you
win
not-
the event. Like I get it's like holiday time,
Yeah.
but like because Vegas was like December like 16th or whatever. But like even if maybe you scrim a little bit afterwards and then like, you know, then you take like a 5-day break for Christmas and then you come back, or a 6-day break for
Crazy,
Christmas, then
man.
you come back. Like it's just crazy. 21.
I mean, I
That's
get it.
crazy.
Like they probably want to take a little bit longer of a break. Like everyone's going home for Christmas. They're probably hanging out at home for a while. It's like all their
I mean-
families there, and like just like, okay, guys, we got to get back on and get back to working. And like they're young kids, but
I mean,
It's no
yeah, but
excuses
at the same
for it.
time,
but
like I
When-
get
when the league is that short.
and
It's
like
just
like what do you think Tom Brady's out here taking 21-day vacations? Like
right.
in the middle of a season, like
Yeah.
let alone the off season. I mean,
yeah.
obviously it's a little bit different with COD where there's not going to be an event for another 6 weeks. So it's like, you take off 3 weeks, you see what happens. But like, I get a week. I even get 2 weeks. I'm fine with 2 weeks, but I feel like that third week at that point, you're like, all right, we should probably get on here. Like we should probably get going.
I mean, they probably felt it too. Like they probably hit 2 weeks. Like, okay, it's probably about time we start going. And they kind of just pushed it too far.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of crazy that it gets to that point, but dang, I don't know.
Yeah. Rough.
Hopefully, but like I said, I don't think they're going to have those problems this year, which is why they're interesting to say the least. Especially watching these scrims these past few days. They've been looking good.
I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, fire away, Rex.
That's all I have for today's news of the week.
All right.
Love that. Love that from you. All right. Well, I guess with that said, I guess we can kind of get into the debate then. The debate. And talk about Halo v COD and see what's going on. So without further ado, boys, let's roll this thing and let's hit it.
To address the nation.
Alrighty, boys. So we thought that we could kind of like outline this thing like it's a State of the Union address. All right. So we're talking about where the CDL is at now. We're gonna talk about maybe some of the positives, the growth, the things that we've seen going well so far, to set a nice little, to warm our hearts before we talk about things that have gone wrong and then compare it to Halo and kind of give the debate of Halo v COD, the pros and the cons, where we can improve, the opportunities, and all of those things all around. So where do you want to begin? Sam, kick us off. What are your thoughts on the kind of like the outline growth? Where do you want to start with this?
Yeah. So, one of the things I think it's pretty easy to point out, just like kind of looking back at viewership, not only maybe at the start of the CDL, so Modern Warfare, but then maybe even kind of looking at the Call of Duty World League, maybe kind of look at Black Ops 4s. So a really handy website we have here is called ES Charts.
Love that.
ES Charts, and they actually, it's kind of cool. They actually have like a bunch of from all sorts of esports, but they're able to like filter out by like each league. So like this one is you can filter out like since the CDL started, and then you can sort by event date, peak viewers, and that kind of thing. So kind of looking at the CDL here, like and going through basically chronologically, we have here started out with like 102,000 peak viewers for the launch weekend of 2020. So that's pretty cool. Throughout the different majors, we're getting 60 to 80,000, which then kind of peaked at the 2020 finals. Actually had 331,000 peak viewers, which is actually
which is
crazy.
The biggest the COD League's ever had. Yeah,
which is insane. So like that was actually really cool, I thought.
Well, that event was just sick.
It was insane. And then, of course, going into Cold War season, started off with 107,000 peak viewers. So actually, that was better.
What match was that? Do you think the stage 5 was that OpTic v Toronto?
I would say OpTic probably v Toronto. Yeah, because like the peak one probably before the 2020 was Dallas versus Huntsman. Probably, I'd imagine. That's right, crazy. For the launch weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, then like honestly, looking at like the like different stages. Stage 1, we had 131,000. Stage 2 was 94,000, so a bit of a dip. Stage 3, 135,000. And then peaking off there for, the CDL championships, we had 238,000 peak viewers, which is obviously less than 2020.
Stage 3 major at 135,000?
Yeah, which was pretty cool. Like to me, that's...
I mean, it's consistent growth over time. Like it's kind of doing like a wave pattern, but every time it goes back up, it goes up a little bit higher than it was before.
The peaks of the highest hype are getting higher.
Yes.
Right. And we'll talk about that later. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So like, I think one of the main things is yes, there's been a lot of struggles. There's been a lot. COVID took a major pile of poo on things, and all things considered, I would say what the Call of Duty it is growing. It is like there is a steady growth here, and I think
even when the games haven't been like incredible by any means, like people would say Cold War was a solid competitive game overall.
Yeah,
but like obviously people would say that Cold War competitive or Modern Warfare competitively was trash, but it was like a quote unquote popular pubs game. So it's like it just took weird balances here. Yeah.
So then like because honestly like that was, I think it's like really cool, growth there. If you kind of look back at like the CWL stuff, I mean, you go to like CWL London 2019, it was 88,000 peak viewers. There was a CWL
Wait, that
Anaheim.
is actually pretty crazy because like you think of BO4, it's like everyone loved BO4. Who didn't love BO4?
Absolutely.
But yeah, you're right. I'm stealing your thunder here. Anaheim peaked at 123,000. That was the highest peak of the whole season.
Yeah. So like I think like one thing it's easy to look back at Black Ops 4 CWL era and
the
like
rose-colored
look at like
glasses.
Yes, and but then like there was hype because like they were all in-person events. So like we got to see the crowd, we got to see the like live casters. So like it looked hype because like we saw people there, but overall there wasn't as many people watching as there is now. So I think
100%.
I think that's something that we can really applaud the CDL is like we are growing in leadership.
The franchising worked,
which I
in some sense,
I think in some sense it did. So I think it's easy to knock the CDL, but it really has gone through a lot when it comes to adapting to the online era, and I think we are seeing slow results. So I do want to take some time to applaud the CDL there.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Like the question is like. Obviously, the question is what does this look like in the future for the format and for the league and the teams? Obviously, again, people like being negative, and I mean, I get it. Like, there's obviously a lot of negatives. Don't get me wrong. I'm like, I tweeted that once. I tweeted that a few weeks ago. People were like, "Wow, you're defending COD." I'm like, nah, I'm not defending COD. I'm just saying, like, there's still reasons to be optimistic about Call of Duty as a whole moving forward. But, like, what I did, I literally just this week, I went back and watched. I put together a whole highlight video of COD Champs, like all my reactions to my the watch parties, my whole reaction of all the watch parties. And I was like, man, this event was so hyped. The crowd reactions, even at a not packed COD Champs, were really, really good. The energy in the stadium was great. The casting was awesome. I think this was a great product. Like it's really entertaining. And like I really enjoyed watching back all the highlights of that video. And like I'm like, it kind of gave me like, all right, COD is gonna be fine once events are back. Like people are gonna forget. We're gonna have Lance back. You're gonna be seeing Scump screaming across the stage at Clay and Crim playing against New York. Like you're gonna have all of this back, what people love about COD, and then things are gonna be just fine again. Like that's kind of where I was at with it. Like that was kind of how I approached it. I don't know what your guys' thoughts.
I think the question with COD that kind of looms in my mind is that some negative things I guess we see is like we Modern Warfare, like they ended at, at 332,000 peak viewers for the championship, and the championships for Cold War were like 100,000 viewers less.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you mean like for COD Champs versus COD Champs?
Yeah, COD Champs versus COD Champs. And
that's fair. I mean,
Modern Warfare's viewers it wavers, but there are some that are, I think it might be more in favor of Modern Warfare because you could feel like the hype kind of slowing down in the middle of the season during Cold War. And
yeah,
I wonder
stage
about
4.
like
it was stage 4.
How well we're attracting new fans.
I mean, it was just tough because like during that time, there's a lot of different things going on. So I guess for me, it's like you go back and look at like, the CWL in 2019 and kind of compare it. Do we have the stats for COD Champs in 2019 and what the viewership was for that?
I'm not sure.
We have the 2019 playoff.
I think it was just the playoffs.
Yeah, we don't have Champs,
1.2. Yeah, which was 81,000 peak for the 2019 playoffs.
Yeah, I would imagine Champs was at a pretty good point though. I wonder how comparable it was to I don't think it hit 240,000 peak viewers though, like this year did. That's crazy.
Mhm.
No, I
That's
think this has
insane.
got to be the biggest champs we've ever had.
I
Yeah.
mean, like,
Well, three.
Modern
the
Warfare was
first
a little
one.
bit just fluky, I feel like, because it was like that game was just an anomaly. We're not going to have that type of like mainstream popularity again for COD. It just seems unlikely, at least. Like,
Mhm.
it was COVID. It just, everything was timed perfectly with the blow up of Warzone. And
Well, it's
it
the
just
first
feels
year
like-
of the franchise league.
right, the first COD champs, it's a $4 million tournament. So it's going to have a wow factor, even
Mhm.
though it was all online. So I think like, and then like last year, the champs wasn't nearly as hype as it could be because like we didn't have the packed stadium like we're gonna have in the future because of COVID. Like
Mhm.
without COVID, champs is gonna be packed in the future, undoubtedly. So it's like I think those types of the things we had to get optimistic about the hype around the esport. The biggest question is how much land can we actually have as an esport moving
Mhm.
forward, and is the CDL gonna commit to it? Like that's kind of the big question, I think.
Mhm.
So I don't know, thoughts on like the direction of online and LAN.
Yeah, I think one thing is so obviously different variants of COVID, all that crap. Whatever it is, but I think what we could do is like compare what we had year 1, year 2, and then looking forward to year 3. So we had a major and champs on LAN, correct? That was all we had last year.
2 majors on LAN,
Two
one with
majors,
fans.
four. Yeah, okay, that's right. Yep, 4 and 5, one with fans, and okay, champ. Okay, so like really, what we could say is if we don't have at least 3 in-person events this coming year, that would be a big hit, right? Like we should have
That'd be
at least
a big
3.
problem.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So like even if we had to do like online qualifiers, stages, whatever it is, we should have at least 3 in-person events for next year. That's what I would say would be the goal or the benchmark that could like not make or break, but could be seen
It's
as
a good
step
mark to hit.
backwards.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree. I mean, like realistically, obviously we'll talk more about challengers too, but like, we need LAN challenge. You have to have LAN challengers events. Like
Mhm.
there is no ifs, ands, or buts. Like you have to have LAN challengers events as well. So those are some of the check marks that like, okay, we need at least 5. I would say, I mean, if you don't have 5 LANs next year, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
even if there's not fans at the first one, I don't care. Like they need to be competing on LAN.
Mhm.
Like that would just be a big thing for me, regardless, either way. But ideally, fans are there for all of them.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. Rex, what are your standards? What are your expectations for LAN? Are you in the same spot?
I mean, I'm trying to figure out which, apple I want to pick here. But let's talk about like challengers on LAN. I think there's issues with that. Is that like, sure, we can like have challenges on LAN, but in the past with the CWL, like there was a purpose to it that the people who are the best out of that open bracket were going to go play the OpTics or get into group play. And so it was more fun to watch that. And if it's on LAN, you want to try and find a way for people to care about it. Because there's no team to watch that's going to go play the next
viewership to
OpTic.
care. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like if they're going to be there, like, and you're going to be investing all this money and all this resources into challenger scenes, but no one really cares if they're there or not. It's hard pressed to do that. But I do think
that's
with
fair.
challengers, I like where we started doing with the Elite series. I think, and they're going to probably hate this, but I think certain cups and things can stay online, and you can kind of create more of a robust venue that's more catered towards people who care about the pro scene. You can have just cooler looking things rather than like a random side of the arena just like chocked full of monitors and tables and loud noises. Instead, you can have this really hyper focused on what's happening with the pros in front, right? But I do think like something like the Elite series or amateur champs, the important things of challengers should have a LAN setting for them. So that's what I think should be happening with challengers.
Yeah, it's just tough with the current system. I mean, like, there's always like this balance. Like, well, you want them to play a lot. I like the idea of the Elite Series, but it's hard to execute when you're on or in LAN, because like then you have to like house these guys to play multiple matches for multiple days and all of these things. Where it's like versus online, it's easier to do this league format, which is like a tough balance there. Where it's like it's nice to have this amateur league, but it's also expensive to run it on LAN. So it's like you have to balance it somehow. I don't know. I still think the CWL nailed it down in a pretty good situation. Like you said, though, to be fair, in BO4 after Vegas, that was when they cut off. They separated the pros from the amateur scene, and the only way to go to the pro to get on the main stage was to qualify through the pro league and then get pro points. So like it was a little bit different at that point in BO4, but even after that point, there was still a pretty good like community of grinding in the AM scene like that. Even in BO4, I mean, we had pretty good attendance on all of the LANs, even when I was reffing them. But overall, I guess like logically for this season, you know, if we're being reasonable, I think having 5 majors with at least 3 of them having amateur tournaments attached to it would be the goal. Mm-hmm. Like at least 3 international people are traveling here for these LAN events to come compete against everyone would be the ideal situation. But it seems unlikely just because of how we're headed right now with the current Elite Series format.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost seeming like it's going to be more separated from the pros. It would be sweet if we could have the challengers players play on the same main stage as the pros. You know, like either right before the event or maybe even like a day before the event. We know whatever it may be. And so, like, you know, Rex, like you were saying, rather than like have it in a room full of monitors, full of, you know, whatever, where it's just kind of like a random setting. It'd be cool if it's the same venue, the same stage for both challengers and you know, the pro teams. But again, like you were saying, it is very unlikely with how we're heading here.
Yeah,
to like,
I mean, like in Modern Warfare, I'm sorry to cut you off here, but like Modern Warfare, like in Modern Warfare, like on the kickoff event in Minnesota, like it definitely started off on the wrong foot. Yeah, with challengers, where like they had a nice area for it, and like the tournament itself was really, really good actually. But man, like we really wanted to have like a broadcast and like show these matches and get them out to the people immediately. But they didn't have any of the infrastructure in place at all. And like even then, like they had the grand finals they had the grand finals happening on main stage before the final day of the kickoff tournament. But then instead of like finishing out, what happened is that the bracket got reset in the grand finals, and they're just like, all right, well, you're done because we're running out of time. So
that's right.
You're going back downstairs. Yeah. And so they moved the literal final series of the Challengers event off stream, and then no one knew what happened. It was just like, what?
What?
Like that was tough. So it's just like those types of things where like they haven't prioritized it well, and that's been one of my biggest gripes. Is like you got to have these things casted. Have like at least 2 casters there telling you the story of the Challengers Day. Like, all right, this is what's happening. And then they can create content and summarize it and put it on the main channel or something like that, at least by the end of the day.
Yeah.
And like we're seeing a lot of problems in the Challengers scene with players switching over to Halo, talking about how much better Halo is doing things over there. And they really are just doing better than COD is right now. And that's just undeniable. And I have concerns with the attention that is not being placed on challengers by Activision. Because if all these great players are moving over to Halo or they're just leaving, and you can't blame them for doing that. Jobs are so like very extremely limited to get into the league. You know, each team only gets 4 players. And at some point we're gonna hit a place where like you're gonna end up keeping the same players that you have, and they already are kind of doing that. They're just rehashing players that have already been there before. and they're not even picking up like your Tom Gravities and all these other people. So like these people are going to get disheartened. Like maybe they're making a little bit of money, but they're looking to go pro. And if there's just not a chance to even like show what they're made of against pros or even competing on the same level as them.
Yeah, ever. Yeah.
What like that pool of people is going to die out. And what are we going to be left with a few years down the line? If
exactly.
we don't
we talked about
create
this a lot
good breeding ground.
In the past, but like, yeah, I mean, like, I think it's inevitable that you have to have at least one event per year where the amateurs play against the pros. Like, it's just like, you have to give the amateurs a chance to be like, yo, look, we're better at this game. Like, it could be middle of the year, like they can prove like, all right, we're good. Like, we have a chance here, and let those teams at least have the chance to duke it out against the pro teams and give them like an audition. I mean, to be fair, we have seen pro teams, scrimming against a lot of the amateur teams more than we did in the past, like this past year or so. But I think on the main stage, when it matters the most, is probably what would be crucial.
Well, that's what they need.
Players that chance. Yeah. I'm with you.
And I think that's where we're going to hit a snafu if they do not. They got to do something about what's happening in challengers, and it's the same thing that's been happening in Overwatch contenders. Like, it starts out and they kind of create this like facade of like, this is going to be this great thing. And
path to pro. Yeah.
Yeah. The whole path to pro, but it ends up just not being that. It's just an empty shell. And that's what challengers is feeling very similar to what contenders was and maybe is now
in Overwatch.
And that's something that's got to be fixed. It has to be fixed, or the future is looking more bleak than what it needs to be.
Yeah, that was something I was gonna say, because like I just think that a lot of like, I guess we can just say the suits at Activision, they have such a weird. It's like, this is the gaming company. They should understand that like playing the game connects you to the game. Like having the ranked play, having like a path to go pro, having something to grind towards, like from a young age, is what connects you to the game. And like, as all of us as kids, like we got connected to the competitive COD because of players that we saw playing it on YouTube, and then playing it ourselves, having the chance to compete in game battles and ranked plays and in competitive settings throughout growing up, which connects us to the esport now. Just like playing high school basketball connects you to the college basketball and to the NBA, or playing high school football connects you to the NFL or college football. It's like the same thing. And I feel like it's just mind-blowing that connection isn't more obvious in esports. Like, yeah, getting people playing the competitive esport is how you get the esport to grow from the ground up. And then having the inspiration for young players is kind of like helps the snowball roll down the hill and gain steam as an esport. Like if you have a lot of people competing and gunning for the pros at the top, it's going to improve the pros play. It's going to make people want to play the game, create more interest. And overall, like the more interest there is, the more that people are going to watch. So it's just like, because I know for me, like the only times that I've ever watched like League of Legends or CS is like, yo, CS has 500,000 viewers right now. I'm like, why? And then like I'll click on it, or like, why does LOL have a 500,000 viewers right now? And then I'll click on it. It's like the hype of it can build more hype, but you need to get those people there in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I 100% agree.
So, I mean, like, what are you looking towards when it comes to, I guess we were talking specifically like formatting, and this maybe we can start comparing it to like what Halo's doing right now, what works so well in Halo. And then we can talk about kind of the format that you'd like to see this season, considering we still haven't heard of an official format or like overall like content plans for challengers, things are just overall content plans for the scene. Anything like improvements that Halo is already implemented versus things that you want to see in COD this year.
The yearly releases of COD just are not the play. They haven't worked from the beginning. Like, because here's the thing, it works to a certain degree. You get a lot of initial hype because it's like a new game, but it's so shallow. It has no substance to it. So then you lose it over time. And that's what I think we're seeing happening now with Vanguard. And Halo has like their 10-year Halo plan, and they're just going to keep releasing content for it.
I think that's easy to say when we're in the first month of Halo.
I mean, that might be true, but if you're talking about competitiveness,
dead as hell.
And you can look at games like Overwatch, games like League of Legends, Counter-Strike, they are the same game since the beginning, with, tweaks and different things added here and there. And so it just takes away that competitiveness of the game, and it just kind of throws a wrench into a lot of.
I mean, in an
this more
ideal
legitimate.
world, it's better. Like if everything worked as planned, it'd be better. If you had the same
we're
ranked
rushing
play,
out. We have no ranked play. We have no anything.
yeah, I get what you're
we
saying.
come
Like,
out.
you're
we're
saying in
all
practicality.
the only thing there ever is to do is to go in there and play random game modes called Bloodburst or Dragonfire
Dome.
that are assault, pacing, team deathmatch only. It's like, and it's so just like shallow.
Right.
Like there's just
Yeah.
no substance to this. I have no care to play this. I just don't. There's nothing
Right, you're just
to
saying
do.
like there's not even a bone thrown to competitive COD here at the release. Which is
there's
like
not
what?
even a bone. There's not even like a tactical, like you can do like tactical
There's not
hard
a
point, but you
there's
still
not
end
a
up in
competitive
8v8
playlist.
or 6. Like there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing.
I would say I guess I
There's
think it's
nothing to do.
I think like we were saying, Josh, like I think it's the yearly releases. The yearly releases creates the problem, whereas a yearly release isn't necessarily a problem. If they were able to like take or like keep
If you had the same ranked play every
Yes,
single year with
exactly.
the cross play that's already involved, and like
But,
you have
like-
all of these things already ready to go, guaranteed every single year, then
Yeah.
you get the hype of a new game every year. That's a
Yeah.
huge dub.
like
But
Ima-
it's been terrible for 3 years straight.
imagine this scenario where it's literally going to be like your rank like stays with your Activision account. Like your
Yeah.
Activision account is a rank,
Mhm.
and you see that rank in any Call of Duty you play, and it's like the same ranked play, but it's just the different formats of each game. Like that would be cool. Like that would be
cool.
amazing.
But you're gonna have
That
to
would
keep
be-
the same mechanics. Like I'm not.
No, you wouldn't even need to do that
all
either.
you need is just the same shell of a ranked play in every
Yes.
game. It feels so simple. I don't understand how it's not.
Yeah, like
I mean,
like
what's these ranks based off of? Like,
I mean, it's just elo
You-
or
yeah, you could literally like it could literally. I honestly think it could literally be your rank is your rank, and if you go into like different Call of Duties, you can rank up your rank in any Call of Duty you want to want to rank up. Even maybe that,
Oh, interesting. Oh, I didn't think about that. I was thinking more like in the newest COD is where you can
it
rank
could,
up.
yeah, but like, could it work where it's like, hey, I'm a Diamond 1. I could go into Modern Warfare, Cold War, or Vanguard and try to rank up.
Or at the least, it would be like, yo, it would show all your ranks in all the CODs.
Yeah,
Like you're a
Like-
Diamond 1 in World War II, but you're a Masters in
like
at Cold War.
and
Like,
maybe
we-
have like an average, like overall.
And then there's an
one.
average. Oh, that would
Yeah.
be cool.
like we have seen them able to
Hire
do.
us.
Yeah, we have seen the capabilities of them able to do cross progression on guns between Warzone and Cold War. Like
And games. Yeah.
you could easily rank up the Krig in Warzone, and that Krig would still it'd be that
Yeah.
level in
In
Cold War. So I don't buy that they don't have the technology to do that. They certainly do. And I think that would be huge if they could do that. Like where you
ginormous.
where you're humongous, where you
Massive.
keep that same rank across all Call of Duties. That would be amazing. I would love that. So like I don't think it's necessarily the problem of the yearly release. It's just that they need to have a consistent rank.
Mhm.
It doesn't need to be a consistent engine. It just needs to be a consistent rank. So
Yeah, I
that-
will
And
say
they
that
need
I
to
do
be-
like how
Sorry.
Halo does it in the sense that like everyone's looking at this one rank. You're looking
Yes.
at Onyx, which is
Mhm.
cool because it kind of creates, you can do like the Path to Onyx type series and stuff like that,
yeah.
which I think is incredibly
Well,
good content.
the
And
way
it helps
it's
build,
built.
that helps build the foundation of competitive COD originally with the Path. I mean, like Nate Shot's Road to Master series was,
Mhm.
I would say a pretty massive majority of current COD fans series that got them into COD. Like it's a pretty decent percentage. And like that was 10 years ago
Yeah.
or 8 years ago.
I
I
also
love those
think
series.
that what Halo does really, really well, and we've always harped on COD for not doing this, is like creating competitive in mind when they're making maps or whatever. If you look at Halo, like literally everything about it speaks trying to competitive like equality, I guess. Like there's there's
Yeah.
always something that you can use to counter. There's always another way you can solve a certain problem. Whereas in Vanguard, sometimes it's just like there's 10 angles. There's no way you're going to be able to predict it all the time. And even in big team battle in Halo, there's like the same power weapons spawn at the same spots, and they're in locations that are like decent locations for both sides to get to. And even that feels somewhat competitive in the way it's laid out.
For sure.
And I think COD needs to start doing that more. It's just more fun, and you don't feel like you're getting cheesed about anything.
That's fair. I mean, like, obviously Vanguard has its problems. I mean, that's for sure. And again, I do agree with you.
Like,
that,
what do they want? What is Vanguard like? You look at it and you're like, I don't even know what this is supposed to be.
Like, you just don't know like the identity of the game.
You
Like,
don't
is it
even know
supposed to
the
be a pubs
identity of
game?
the game. Like,
Is that what
we
you're trying
have
to
these
say?
breakable walls, and it's like, okay, so should I really slow down my pace a lot? Rainbow Six Siege this? Punch a hole and kind of like pre-aim this? Like, is this the new way to do this? But that's just never how we've done COD. And why would they all of a sudden kind of like revolutionize the way we do that if that's not what they wanted? But that's what it feels like they're trying to do. And it's just like, you can't tell what to do. At least to me, it's like, sometimes I don't quite know what's going on here anymore. I don't know what the right thing to do is. And that's what is extremely frustrating, at least for me when I'm playing. It's just, I don't want a pub. I just don't understand what this is. Whereas with Halo, it's very understandable.
Do they add this thing in for competitive? Do they add this thing in for pubs? Like, why is this thing in the game? Like, it's more of like, what's the purpose of this feature of this part of the game that is what's it supposed to serve? Is that kind of like, you just don't feel like
what
there's
is
not
this
like
supposed to be serving? Like, are they
That's
trying
fair.
to make people camp more? Are they trying to make people be sprinting more? And like, maybe they're like, and I think I've seen on Twitter and stuff too, it's like similar sentiments where it's like, they don't know if they want to be a pub casual game or if they want to be competitive. And you just get that vibe. And it's just honestly a big question mark as to like, what is this? And
yeah, that's fair. Okay, so I guess the last thing I want to do here before we kind of talk like the overall ideas is, Sam, I want you to lay out some of the things that Halo and Esports Engine directing the competitive scene have done right. Like the partnership, the direction, things that you think work really well. And then we can kind of relate that to COD and talk through the things that we really want to see in the next year or two.
Yeah. So
competitive COD.
I'll kind of go through these things here and not spend too much time, or else we'll be here all day. So,
of course.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. So I think having a more than or pretty much a year-long roadmap. So like one thing they Adam Apicella and Tashi, I'll probably reference Tashi a lot. Tashi is like think of him as like the main contact on Twitter for all things like 343.
Okay, it'd be like
wise.
That's so-called commish.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's like, he's just
the figurehead of competitive Halo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So them two together put out a roadmap, which I know we usually do see like at some point Call of Duty will come out with their year-long roadmap. But they haven't, they've definitely been more, they'll be like, all right, this is when stage 3 is, but they might not have a location for it yet. They might not have, the details for qualification for it yet. Like, those things might come out later, but I do agree with you. Halo did a good job of like really getting detailed about the future of the year. Yeah. Like they already know that in October, they're having Halo Worlds, the first Halo World. So like that, I think that's huge where you have at least a year, 9 months to a year in advance where what's going to come up.
For sure.
One, I think that's huge. Two, I think, like I mentioned, like having a very transparent social media team. So like they've really taken upon themselves, I think, the communication and transparency of 343 has been, I think, very, very upfront. They pretty much put out a monthly blog, like a blog post.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Tashi's always replying and just kind of saying like, "Hey, this is where we're at. This is what we've seen." this what we've seen is broken. We're gonna work on this. So I like even just someone acknowledging that there is either a problem or that.
See, and we tried to mention this before, like with the CDL, it's kind of like sometimes it feels like the CDL doesn't even exist. It's like this like ghost figure that there's no head of the CDL, because like even like Johanna Ferries was the head of the CDL, but now she's not. And now it feels like we don't have anyone. If we want to like, who should we talk to? Who is the CDL? There is no name specifically that comes up. Like there's a handful of people that might come up, but there's not one person. There's not the Roger Goodell of like the NFL that is like, this is the guy,
Yeah,
and
there's no communicators.
Right. So
There's
you need to
none.
have that person with the CDL that's like, this is the guy that is going to be transparent. But that's the problem with Activision is I think from the top down, the communication has always been bad. And that's I think why everyone's hoping that we can get some changes at Activision from the top down, hopefully from this lawsuit. And then that'll hopefully create some change. But I mean,
100%.
there's a lot of those things there.
I think that's really big. They really need a vocal spokesperson that is active. And I'm not talking about someone who's, retweeting like the next, little tournament that whoever's throwing. I'm talking about somebody who is like Tashi and is talking about, we hear you about trophy systems.
This problem, that problem, this problem, and this problem. We're having a meeting about it today about these things.
Yes.
Like, we'll hopefully have an answer to you by this time,
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
just that type of conversation.
They need that, and to know it, just so we know that something's happening. It's just so closed doors, and it's just sketchy.
Yeah. Like sometimes you're not sure who the CDL is working for. Are they working for the fans? Are they working for the owners?
They pretend to work for
working
everybody, and that's the
Activision?
annoying part.
That's true, because like Roger Goodell, he doesn't pretend. He's working for the owners, and he knows, and that's his only goal is to work for the owners in the NFL, and he is not hiding that. That's for sure. So I think like that is one thing that is interesting moving forward, is kind of figuring out getting a more face. So I agree with that, with how Halo does it for sure. So what else you got for us?
Yeah, and then I think like just this is kind of like already kind of said, but partnering up with Esports Engine, like I think was a big thing where, okay, we know we could develop a team internally, but they went ahead and they went with the best. They went with 343 went with the old MLG and said, okay, we know you guys can do this better than us, so we're just going to partner with you guys.
I mean, they were the ones that built the esport originally with Halo.
Exactly. So like, I think that was huge. I know Activision has like pretty much built like a competitions team.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, the CDL is built out,
Exactly. But like, man, it'd be so cool if they would just like partner with Esports Engine, just like, hey, like help us run this, that kind of thing. I think it was just,
which I mean, they do for the AM scene, but like they don't give them very many resources to work with, and so it's kind of like, here, do this as cheap as possible,
exactly,
and do it that route. So that can get tough too.
Yeah, which I think we'll see as the CDL, of course, is its own built out thing. I think we're going to see. We've experienced 2 years of growing pains. We're going to have more growing pains, but like once this is fully up and running, I'm sure it'll be a smooth operation at some point. Barring pandemics, barring all this stuff, whatever.
World wars, economic collapse, hurricanes.
Exactly. So like that right there, I think was huge. But that was like really like the main things when it comes to, if we're looking not within the game itself, but like what Activision could be doing on the outside. The other thing was obviously competitive settings, which they have posted on the website, the competitive settings, which I think people had issues with there, but
like instead of ignoring that GAs don't exist, like let's try to work together here.
Like, why is that never addressed? Why is it not talked about by them? Like,
right. And there was literally a blacklist on saying the word GAs like last year. Like for a while there, the announcers weren't even supposed to say it. Like Miles, you weren't supposed to say gentlemen's agreements.
Like Activision is they're almost creepy. Like they're just so strange.
Yeah. It's definitely weird for sure. And those are the things I think everyone's hoping that we can see the long-term change with and like get to a place that's a lot better. I mean, obviously, you know, the big things that hopefully can one day get to a point where Hex has definitely been talked about these things for COD for a long time is like the crowdfunded prize pools, or, you know, with skins in the game from the beginning that help fund those things and create revenue for teams. Obviously, like if the CDL is being prioritized, wouldn't you assume that like, all right, we're trying to build out revenue for our teams or for our organizations? Like at launch of these games, they should have all 12 teams in here, not for the sake of the league, not for the sake of anything else, but because these teams are investing millions of dollars into the CDL, into Activision, that should be part of the contract, you know? So those are all things I'm like, you'd think that would have been negotiated from the beginning. Like, all right, we need to have team skins in the game from day one as a revenue source for the teams, let alone the league. So those are the types of things I think definitely need to get built out in the long term as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess let's finish up our conversation here just on the format of next season. Do you feel like that there's anything better that they could do? I mean, for the format outside of what we did last season? Like, it all kind of comes down to how much do they want to commit to having LAN? Like,
let's brainstorm ways. Like, let's not try to. Let's talk about it where, okay, we know that we can't have amateurs in. What's the best way that the 11/12 pro team format?
Yeah, let's just assume 12 teams is going to happen.
Yes,
because,
and then assume that we can't have the challengers people play in the same pool.
Right. In the video I did, I kind of like went off of like a 5 major system, and then I just said like, I mean, like, again, like if you really want to develop out this amateur scene, you need to have that US Open tournament where amateurs play against the pros one time throughout the year, once. You can have separate prize pools. You can separate out the prize pools. You could have the amateurs have no money. I bet they'd still play. Like, you know, it's just like at some point, pros need to play against AMs. And then my thought was like, you go back kind of like to the CWL system where like you don't prioritize a LAN. You don't have to have like this built out LAN league, but like maybe one stretch of the season, you have like like what we had in the CWL playoffs where one time throughout the year, you have like a league where teams play maybe 8 league matches or maybe 12. You play one against every single team, and then it's over like a 2-week span. And then that leads into a playoffs, and then it's kind of the whole thing that goes on. I thought that'd be fun, but
I think that's a really good idea. I honestly didn't mind the 5 major format last year. You know, I think it's like a good,
like, if they were all on LAN, I'm sure it would have been fine, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like you're trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way to create like the same bracket style play if you're only going to have 12 teams? Do you do it where... Yeah,
but then still have enough COD throughout the whole year and like without taking too many breaks. Because they want to have a lot of airtime.
Definitely. Which, you know, on one hand, it seems like you would need to have the integration of challengers teams where you're kind of doing these like online 2Ks where like you're like creating like seedings that lead into these big LAN events.
Yeah.
And then you have the 12 teams plus the top 8, you know, seeded challengers teams in there. That would be sick. But in terms of like a good balance between league play games versus bracket style play, I almost think like the major is like the best we could get. It
seems unrealistic that they're going to do too much more than that, right?
Exactly.
Like, if we're trying to be realistic, it seems like you're not going to be like, all right, I want to have 12 majors next year, all LAN, all with fans, and they're going to be jam-packed, sold out. We're going to have, and it's going to be like the MW season. We're going to have 12 LANs, and they're all going to have open brackets. Like, it just seems unrealistic at this point for where the CDL is at. So I think having like so here's my proposal. I got to go through my whole proposal. And I'll let you shoot holes in it if you like.
Yeah.
So my proposal would be 5 normal majors, and then hopefully the one US Open one where you can play against the amateurs, just one, just because that's the argument here. Then you have the playoffs where you have the league play matches where that's like 1 month long, and then you have COD champs at either the last week of July or the first week of August, and then the rest of the year, not a dead time, you have the World Cup, which is where you have all of the teams play with their nationalities, which would be lit.
That
which
would be awesome.
And a built out tournament with open bracket stuff too, which would be really, really cool. I think it'd be awesome. That's my prediction. That's my, not prediction, but my proposal.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
that would be the dream right there, having a World Cup. That would create more hype for sure.
More community, developing the scene.
Yeah. When are you placing those like league play matches, the playoffs? Is it like in the middle of the 5 majors? Or is it like
I would
near the
say
end?
like you have a stage 1 open, like a kickoff first event of the year, which is also, of course, also in December, as it should be.
Yes.
In December. Second week of December like 10th. And then you have major 2 probably. Then I would say you have the first playoff. You have the play, like I don't know if you want to call it like the quarter 1 playoffs or like the stage used to call it like I don't know what you call it, the mid-season playoffs or something like that. And then you have stage 3, which is the US Open, which is the open where the amateur players qualify in. Then you have Cup 4, Cup 5, then champs. Because you don't want to have like a major tournament, like the playoffs too close to champs, or you don't want the US Open to be too close to champs. You want champs to kind of feel like these 2 stages are leading up to champs. And then you have that World Cup to fill the last 3 months before the new game.
Yeah, that would be sick. Yeah, because I was going to say, like, I think it'd be great to have the playoffs in there, like the midseason playoffs. You have, like the US Open in there. Have the Open and the champs be separated, because like when you have like US Open, you're pretty much gonna have some teams pretty much get embarrassed, right? And so like you're gonna want some time to like rebuild and.
So then you have 2 whole stages to rebuild. You have 2 whole months
Mm-hmm.
to kind of like get back to a place you want to be. You can make some roster changes, heading into champs then, and then that's just for the CDL teams.
Exactly.
So,
Which would you have, all 12 or only top 8 for champs?
All 12, but seeding matters a lot, and all of their placings throughout the whole season in these tournaments is what decides the seed.
Yeah. I think if you're gonna have the US Open, you for sure need to have all 12 teams be at champs too, because it's like
I agree.
Then that gives them a chance. Like, okay, if we can redeem ourselves here, that would be like an amazing comeback story, right? Like say Paris gets like first rounded by a challengers team in the US Open. They like bounce back and then plays really well at champs.
I think that would create some epic storylines too, because then like do the worst teams in the league like drop their rosters and pick up the teams who performed well from the amateur scene? Like there's some insane talent down there. Like maybe that's a possibility. Those type of stuff gets me hyped, and I would get so pumped for something like that.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like I think we like could like see some like, it'd be nice to have take some risks. Like like you're like that like format, that's a risk, but I think like viewers would be so like imagine the hype leading into the first Open where it's like, okay, this is crazy having like 12 franchise teams and then having 4 or 5 whatever it is playing teams. Like what's gonna happen? Like what does it even look like? I don't know. I think there'd be so much hype leading into that, which then creates the storyline for the second half of the year leading into champs. Like,
I agree.
Like it'd be huge. Like,
and I'm okay with all the qualifiers and all of the group play matches or whatever, how they want to do it like before. Like I'm okay with that all being on LAN if they want, or online if they want it to be. Yeah. But like you have to have enough offers for LAN experience. So this we'd have 5 LAN majors and then a playoffs championships that's on LAN. The league play matches can be online, but the LAN playoffs and then LAN champs and then the World Cup can be online up until the final like 8 or something. And then the final 8 play a championship somewhere. So it would be like 8 LAN events throughout 10 or 11 months. That feels doable.
Oh, for sure. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Any thoughts there, Rex? You feel like you're in deep contemplation over there.
I'm just kind of stewing in my anger. Yeah, no, I think that's great. More recognition for challengers. I like the US Open idea. I think I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but I think there's a financial problems. Like, if Paris does terrible at this US Open, they lose a challenge. If you want to switch out players, Paris might not have the financial resources to be able to take these people off their contracts and change their team. And so now they're screwed the whole year and no chance of getting any fans because they lost to an amateur
get better,
team.
Paris.
I mean,
Goodness.
yes, like there's that thing right there where like I see the hiccup with it and maybe there's a way to like work around that. But that's like the one thing that I saw with it. Because I want to see the perspective of like how these organizations are viewing it. And since we're still in the infancy of the CoD League and not a lot of these people working with an immense amount of financial resources, like what they're able to do in that regard, like embarrassment can be detrimental at times, maybe. So it's that's why I think like, yes, they should take risks, but I understand the hesitancy too.
If you're protecting the owners for these what if situations, like, you're trying to build a competitive league first and foremost, and like an interesting league that fans want to watch because fans are the money, fans are why it succeeds, fans are why the owners are here in the first place.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, the owners will have a vote on the idea of doing it. And who knows, maybe CoD League would like to do something like that, but it's the owners who don't want to. Because that's something I can see.
It's possible.
I have no reason to believe Activision would care if they do that or not. I see that more as like an owners wouldn't want to do that thing.
That's interesting. Yeah. So we'll see. Obviously, the other side of the coin there would be challengers, but I think the Elite Series stuff and online stuff's fine. But you have to have at least a few opportunities per year for these teams to compete and prove it on LAN. It's like, and you have to let the Europeans play against the Americans and the APAC and South America all play against each other at least a few times a year, or else challengers just feel so segregated and like unimportant because you don't know actually who the best teams are. So it's like, you need to have at least a few of those options throughout the year, is at least where I'm at with it. So I don't know. Any other thoughts there? I think we can get into intelligent and relevant if you guys are feeling it.
I will say I have belief in the Call of Duty League as a whole. I believe that we really are heading in the right direction. And I think we can see that even though they've been adding ranked play late, at least it's been implemented. We saw it first in Modern Warfare. Then we got it in Cold War, like a real one. It's progressing, and we can see Warzone, how more, I guess, advanced it is and how everything is just kind of synchronized with all the games. And I think they're eventually going to have to make that move over to multiplayer so they can start really building out this big, robust franchise game, which I believe is probably the big vision of it, but it's going to take time.
Yeah.
And I think that's the issue. It's like Halo is just kind of like one hit punch, 10 years.
They have had 2 years to kind of like line this thing up. So it's like, for a while now. I mean, esports, they announced that partnership with Esports Engine a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So they've at least had like months and months and months and months now to kind of get this thing organized, get it rolling, get it moving, and kind of get their thoughts together. So they have their advantages there, but at the same time, the CDL should be getting things kicked into gear way faster than it currently is with Activision in these games. So
yeah, but I do have faith that it's going to grow bigger. I think it has potential to get bigger than Halo, to be honest.
I mean, well, right now Halo's supposed to get bigger than CoD.
Right now, Halo's bigger than CoD, and it might be for a long time. But
no, it's not bigger than CoD. It has to it has to prove that it's bigger than CoD. It hasn't proven it yet.
Okay, gotcha. But either way, I think CoD will eventually build to that point where they have a full game where it's like you are going to have all your Warzone, trinkets. You're going to have your casual trinkets, and you'll have your competitive trinkets as well.
The upside for CoD is just massive. I mean, it has a player base right now. I mean, 20 million people bought BO4. Like, and I don't know, the numbers last year were weird because there was free to download Warzone and then the multiplayer. I'm not exactly sure, but I mean, I think it's safe to say 10 million players play multiplayer. I thought that's very safe to say. So it's like you have a 10 million people user base of people who buy this game, at least 10 million people who have an interest at least of some sort playing multiplayer. You just got to tap into those people. And I think League play is where you start. So we'll see, boys. I think we're already pretty far into this episode. So let's get into intelligent and relevant, and let's go.
ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
Alrighty, Sammy, what do we got for intelligent or relevant today? I thought it was a fun conversation about everything going on there.
That
I
was
was
fun.
ranting.
So throw on top of that, we got a hot take poll today.
Oh,
So,
no.
Yeah,
What's the
so
hot take?
you know, we'll see.
Well, lay it on us.
Hot take regarding squad spawns.
Wow.
Squad spawns creates more of a skill gap in map control, kill counting, and quick thought process than a traditional spawn system would.
Oh, hot take.
Mm-hmm. So options here are you are faded or absolutely.
I'm going to go out on a limb.
People are saying
and say
faded,
the
100%.
People are going to call you faded, Sammy.
Probably. Is there a conversation to be had?
I think there's a conversation to be had. I don't
mean,
know if
it's a
it's
different
right, but I
set.
do believe a conversation can be had.
It's a huge argument to say that like it's a bigger skill gap, but there's at least like a set. It's a different type of skill though. I mean, like, you know, in Cold War with normal spawns, you're like playing for map control. You know when like there's certain rules, like if you cross this part of the map, then you're gonna spawn out. If you don't have anybody playing behind this line, like on Moscow, if you have nobody behind the window in mid, no other player, you're gonna flip and spawn out. Like there's just kind of these rules where squad spawns is like, all right, if we're spawning here, there's a chance someone's spawning there, but we need to have all of our lanes covered, and we have to be able to count kills to know if somebody even is there yet, if it's possible for somebody to be there yet. So
Yeah.
There's kind of these different conversations that have to be had, but it creates for more chaos and just like I said, a different set of skills. I guess.
Yeah, I think it's just like with like how raw with it is with the community. They're obviously going to say it's a faded take.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
but I just think it's interesting. You know, like I think it's safe to say that the COD community is very much they have a way that they want the game to be played.
Yeah.
You know, so like
COD's a high.
Well, I'm going to interrupt you here and say like, I think it's a different argument, but like between are they good or do they create a higher skill gap? Like something could be bad, but create a higher skill gap. I think because like it just creates more chaos and makes the game more unpredictable. And like being really really good at it creates it's a whole different skill set for how a team plays as a unit. And depending on the map, it could completely break the map and then therefore create a lower skill gap, because it can create randomness. So it just kind of depends on the map. I don't think we've got to a point yet where we can for sure say that or not, you know, which is what gets really tough.
I think the problem is just the way COD's been changing the spawn system every year. It feels like just something has just been been whacked out.
Yeah.
So it's always just a relearning.
Well, it's been tough because we've gone from 5v5 on normal COD. So we went from 4v4 on World War II to 5v5 on normal COD spawns to 5v5 on squad spawns to then 4v4 on no squad spawns and now 4v4 on squad spawns. So there's been massive meta changes inside of Respawn so far in the past 4 or 5 years, and it really is crazy.
But everyone does have their own little skill gap. Like there is a learning to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so I'm going to vote absolutely because, you know, me. But out of 119 votes, 86% say I am faded. 13%
Fair
are
play.
absolutely. So that makes sense.
Where'd you get roasted? Let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Our man Desma, squad spawns create chaos. When you kill 3 dudes off the point and they spawn in the back with the 4th dude just camping in the corner and makes hills unbreakable. Players are purposely losing gunfights on old hills to spawn on their old teammates who's already rotated. Too much RNG, in my opinion. Fair take.
I guess the current argument would be, is that RNG or is that just a good strategy? Therefore, meta, get better, kid. Adapt. You know, like that would be the argument. I definitely side more Desma there, but
yeah. Our
devil's advocate.
Shout out Gersh. Squad spawns create bad comp. In my opinion, it's higher skill in knowing how to read spawns, predict them for rotations, and manipulate them when pushing lanes, feature hills, and respawns. And Ad read, a shout out to the New York fans. Be sure to come to the event on the 11th.
There you go. There you go.
Let's see. Colin Hardy. It requires a lot more understanding of the game and split-second decision making to make the correct decision, whether to go rotate or get the last bit of time, hit a flank, pinch, etc., etc. But that's just my opinion. So I think he was siding
Interesting.
with.
Yeah,
Actually, I don't know
absolutely.
what he was siding with there.
I'm not sure what side he's siding on there.
Yeah.
I think it's
You
an
could argue both
absolutely.
ways.
He says it requires a lot more understanding game split seconds. I think it's an absolutely answer.
I think he's siding
Yeah.
with
I
SWAT
think,
spawns.
I think he's a minority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
crazy.
have Tyler Porter tagging Pine Park. That was it.
Word.
You big faded Sammy.
And then
please.
last at Luca Don says, "Here is your impression." So thank you, Luca.
My guy. Appreciate that. But I don't know. That's actually interesting. I think there is at least some debate to be had, but I think that's a pretty good overall take.
Yeah.
Sam, do you have anything else to plug for us in this video?
I do. You know, be on the lookout. Philly
Are you a little
Esports.
biased?
I might be a little biased here, but there is a free to enter Call of Duty tournament coming up on the 18th. 5K prize pool, 32 team cap, hosted by Philly Esports. So check
At
it
least
out.
so far, I haven't seen any of like the high tier amps talk about it. So
Yeah.
maybe you can sneak in there and like
Absolutely.
try to
hey,
finesse something. I mean, you know, it's also just a good time.
exactly. You know, free to enter. You might be, if you sign up, you might get a email from your boy. Who knows? we'll
An
see.
email
because-
from
That's what I
the
wanted. Oh
Bash?
my word, I'm signing up. I get an email from Bash. Holy crap. My life is made insane. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Look out for a tournament, man.
Worst comes to worst, you get stomped. Hey.
Nothing new for you guys.
Intelligent, irrelevant.
Irrelevant. But yeah, appreciate that. But boys, what are you watching this week?
Let's see.
I mean, I've been watching
Yeah.
this show called The Last OG
Oh,
with Tracy Morgan.
Okay, yeah.
But basically, it's just about a guy who went to prison for. It's more like a comedy, dramedy-ish.
What's it on?
Our producer, Amari, says it's a banger show, and I agree.
Oh, well, there you go.
It's
Shout
super
out
good.
Mario. There you go. I told you we'd shout you out.
I think it's on Netflix, but if you have Hulu TV and stuff, you can watch all the seasons. But I think Netflix only has the first 2 seasons. But it's really, really good. You should check it out.
gotcha. Yeah. You know, for me personally, I'm not really nothing on the radar
for you.
Yeah, you know, ever since we finished Ted Lasso, it's been kind of dry there. But
Makes sense.
I feel like there's a movie I wanted to watch, but right now I'm blanking. So currently just watching
Fair play.
scrims.
Amari says you should rewatch Community, or people should
Community.
rewatch Community.
I love
Yeah,
Community.
yeah.
Actually,
Good show.
that is a
There you go.
phenomenal
I
show.
like Joel McHale.
The only thing I've been watching is I guess Hawkeye came out this week, so I watched the first 2 episodes that came out.
Nice.
But it's not like a mind blowing show. It's more of just like a character type thing. But you know, it's a good time. Good time.
Also,
there it is,
Your
boys.
Honor with
Oh.
Bryan Cranston in it. Super, dramatic, and everything is just stressful 24/7, but it's really good.
Really?
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of that.
It's called Your Honor.
Wait, what is that on?
And there's another one like TV show one. I know it's on Showtime,
okay.
but I think you can watch the first episode on Amazon.
Okay. Crazy. But there it is, boys and girls. That's the best 3 Call of Duty Esports podcast for you. If you liked it, drop a comment down below. Drop that 5-star review of a podcast. Obviously, we read those once in a while. And we always appreciate you guys supporting the show. Like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Share it if you guys really enjoyed it. But as always, guys, I'm Josh. To my right is Bash_Bo3 Sam. To our front right per huge is Rex ShadyNero. And guys, this has been the best of 3 Call of Duty Esports Podcast. And we will see you next time. We out.